Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel today. Today I'm bringing you a slightly different vlog. So if you're new to my channel, I'm Alison, I'm So Like Dotty, and my channel is all about dressmaking, general sewing, generally for myself, sometimes for my other half and my daughter. And today I'm just going to do, it's not a sew along, but I'm just going to do a vlog that's about sewn with swimwear fabric and how I find that. So I've made my swimwear for about the last 3 years, I think. So first of all, I just wanted to say it's not as scary as you maybe think it is. I know lots of you said, yeah, I'd love it if you did a vlog on it. I'm wanting to start and things. So what I would say is just think about the other garments that you've made before you made that first cut in the fabric, or before you even bought your fabric. Kind of, you were like, oh, you know, I know myself, I was like, oh god, like, am I getting the right stuff? Like, particularly with stretch fabrics, it's the stretch in the right direction. Will you see the, you know, if it's white in the background, will you see that if you stretch it through? And I know that's tricky because we buy a lot of fabric online, but I've generally had a lot of good luck buying swimwear fabrics. Some of the fabrics that I've got now, I got them from a fabric company that aren't available anymore, but equally I've had things from other places. So there are loads and loads around. Shop around. Obviously you're looking for, it's like a four-way stretch with your swimwear fabric. Things that I've learned that any old swimwear that I've got, cut the catches off, cut the little bone pieces that are about this big, if it's like a bikini top, cut those out and keep them. So I sort of harvest anything that I can out of them, so I'm not having to buy, like if it's a bikini top, I've got like a little stash of clasps, a little stash of those bone bits, that kind of thing. Now in terms of elastic, generally you need to buy swim elastic. So I tend to get hemline and I get the white elastic. I'm just going to grab it. So it's this one just here, and that's how it looks. It looks like normal elastic, but it's I don't know what they do to it. It's done so that it's long life salt and chlorine resistant. You can get different types, but to be honest, I've binned it. You can get clear elastic. You'll end up finding your preferences. I did get clear elastic, but when I needed the stretch where I really needed it, I didn't really feel like it gave me that support and confidence. You know, the first time I made like a sort of a cropped top as a bikini top and high-waisted bottoms, and I was going down the water slide, I genuinely was like, please God, let everything stay where it needs to, and I don't do this. On the way down it didn't. I was like, oh my God, it was all right. I know somebody who's made some recently, and they said, I won't be going in any water, so I haven't like worried about it, and that's fine as well. I did get some that was quite rubbery last year when it came. And I just thought, I mean, it would be all enclosed, there wouldn't be any next to my skin, but it almost felt like that rubberized stuff that you would get on, you know, on swim goggles around the side. It felt a bit like that, and I thought, no. So I've got bits of offcuts here, and generally for me, I would be putting this round my legs, and the one I'm going to do today will go right round the top of the swimsuit because it's a strapless one, and I would definitely get that out of that. And obviously I'm not the smallest person in the world, but I just get that online, so it's easy. And you know, if you're not in the UK, I don't know if hemline's an international brand, but there'll be an alternative to it as well. So that's your hemline elastic. I think I've got it off Amazon and stuff, so you maybe want to check that out. So in terms of width, it's a 9mm, and there's 2.5 meters on there. So that's the elastic. So generally, there are loads of good vlogs out there that I watched to get tips before I started. So just like when you're making anything, if you're anything like me, I tend to watch a few things before I get started myself. So I think Ellie and Mac were one of the ones that I watched quite a bit of. They certainly helped me with the first thing that I made. So even if it's not the design of the swimsuit or bikini that you're gonna make, you may pick some techniques up from some of their vlogs that'll help you with that. So for example, they show you how you could make something reversible. Now you might not be bothered about something being reversible, but you may prefer the finish of how that is. So for example, like the the way that I'm gonna finish off today with the pattern that I'm doing, when you attach the elastic, you fold it over and then top stitch or cover stitch over that way, but you would still have the cover stitch would cover that up, but you would still have that unfinished edge. If you were lining something, they show you how you can put your elastic in between so your elastic's enclosed and completely finished off. So you might pick up some techniques from that. Obviously I'm not doing anything today that's got actual cups in or anything like that, but I would say it's like any sewing, you know, if you're looking at doing swimsuits, you've probably already got a good grasp of sewing by now. What do you need machinery wise? All you need is a sewing machine with something like a stretch or a super stretch needle in it. Ideally you want some Maraflex thread or similar stretch thread, so this is the Gutermann one, and this works best on a longer stitch. Now I am going to use my overlocker at times today, and I'm going to finish off round the legs and round the top with my cover stitch machine, but you can do without both of those. The swimwear fabric isn't going to fray, so this is the edge of the fabric there. I've cut it with a rotary cutter. It's not going to fray. I do finish off the insides just because that's the habit that I am in with every garment, so I would always overlock. And I also, just because, well, you feel quite vulnerable in swimwear anyway, don't you? Because, like, you know, if it twangs or something, you've not got anything covering it up. So I always do overlock the seams and sew them on the machine as well, just that a little bit of reassurance and reinforcement, I guess. So if you wanted to, if you haven't got an overlocker, you could use a zigzag stitch if you wanted to, if you needed to. When you attach the elastic, you could do that as well. So I'll go through some of the tips. I'll try and remember as I go to it. But as I say, this is just my tips. So I tend to get my lining fabric from, I've just got plain swim fabric from Amazon. I tend to find that's not as stretchy. It's not got as good stretch and recovery as maybe the outer garment fabric does, and that is something that's worth considering. So if you're wanting something that's a plain colour, I would kind of look for something that's, I know price doesn't always reflect quality, but you want something with good stretch and recovery. And the other thing to remember is for a lot of swimsuits you're going to need probably less than a metre. This pattern takes a little bit more than that because of the ruffle. I had 2 separate meters of this, but I've got more than enough left that I'll be able to make probably some high-waisted briefs and a top with next year or in another year. So I keep all my scraps and stuff as well. And I have actually lined something before by just joining scraps of different pieces together. So in terms of like fitting around cups and things, I'm quite large busted. I like to put a shelf bra in, and I'll talk you through that later. But again, if you have a look on other channels, there are loads. Sewing with Swimwear, just have a browse around and you'll find some out there. And there are lots and lots of patterns out there as well. So this one that I'm doing today is a mashup of the Ellie & Mac waterfall swimsuit for the bottom and the Fibre Mood Luca top, but without the one, it's asymmetric, so without the shoulder strap, I've levelled it off. The reason, I've spoken at length about this on the vlogs before, the reason that I've put those Ellie & Mac bottoms on is the Luca swimsuit back, the bum bit, I think it's a bit skimpy, and I know 2 of the people who've made it recently and found it like that as well. So I'll basically use that pattern, but I just follow the line of the Ellie & Mac one, and it gives me a little bit more coverage on my bum. And yeah, the world doesn't need to see my bum really. So Friday Pattern Company have swimsuits, so Over It have swimsuits. God, sorry, my mind's just gone blank, but you know, there are loads and loads of patterns, so you can have a little search. There are some free ones as well. If you've got sewn patterns to make your own, like briefs or knickers, pants, whatever you want to call them, whichever country you're in, you could in theory use those to make your swimsuit with. Or I have known people who've just took some pants and drawn around them to make a pattern and put a seam allowance on, that kind of thing. I've made a bandeau, in the UK we call a bandeau top, so strapless, just a wide piece of fabric round like that. I've put some boning in at the side, and then I've brought it round to the back and put a clasp on, and then in the middle I've just made like a little tube of fabric, wrapped it round. So if this was the bandeau piece at the front, So it was like that. To bring it together, I'd just wrap that round, and you'd end up like with like that one side of the front and one side of the back. I think originally when I did that, I might have had one that had kind of was a shop bought one that had seen better days. So I literally just took the little wrap bit off the middle, opened it out to get sort of an idea of the pattern, and just took it from there. So have a play. I think in general, like all sewing, things don't always go perfectly, and you might need to make some alterations. So I would say before you jump in and cut, think about what you already know about your body shape and body type, in terms of fit. For me with a swimsuit, if I went to buy a swimsuit or a body, I must be quite long bodied, so I would always, like, I'd really struggle to pull them up. So by making my own, it's brilliant. So I know with the Fibre Mood Luca, I need to add an inch onto the length of the body. And when I made the strapless one, I had to extend that even more. So, you know, play around with it. That's what I would say. And, you know, with clothing, people sort of think, oh, I don't know what style to make, what would suit me. And I think, well, what would you buy? What would suit you if you bought it? So if you're not sure what your style is with swimwear, maybe you've not worn any for a long time, go to a shop and try some on and check it out and see what you do suit. So where am I at? I've already cut out my swimsuit. I know if you don't have a cutting mat that, you know, you're going to use scissors and things, that's absolutely fine if they're going to be for the seams that are going to be enclosed. But if you're doing something like this one has a ruffle, and this is a full circle that I've cut out, so this is on like a double fold when you cut out the pattern piece. So there's a fold here and a fold here, and the pattern piece you cut it in round there and round there. I've cut this with a rotary cutter because you're not going to hem this, so you'll see later this is going to sit around. Hello, this is going to sit around. I should use that as the what do you call it, the thumbnail. God, if you've not met me before, you'll be thinking, what is she on? But this is like really smooth. So I had a brand new blade in, tried not to sever my fingers off, but you don't need to finish that off at all. It's not going to fray. So if you can get a good clean cut on anything that's going to be visible, if you want little ruffles and things on, happy days. Yeah, I've just thought Tilly and the Buttons have a swimsuit as well, don't they? See, there's loads of them out there. So I've already made a start. I've cut on the fold with this, but you will see with some swimsuits that they come in flat pieces that I've made before. So just be mindful as normal. Some patterns might be on the fold, some might be cut one. But obviously if you're doing bottoms, you're going to have one front and one back. If you're doing a swimsuit, you're going to have one front and one back. And generally for a bikini top, you're going to have one front and one back. So you won't be cutting it on double fabric. Does that make sense? But this, like the front of this was cut on the fold, the back of it was cut on the fold, and I've just got it clipped together, ready to sew together. So this is it already done. So that's all ready to go. So I'll run the sides through the overlocker and also the crotch through the overlocker as well. If you are looking at the Fibre Mood Luca, sorry to talk crotch and groin, I find that pattern really long. So when I changed it, yeah. So when I initially made it, I just rejoined it and cut some out of it. But I've heard that from other people as well. So I have cut a lining. I can't remember her name, but one lovely lady who follows my channel, when I made the dark swimsuit that I made maybe about 6 weeks ago, if you go back on my vlogs, I didn't line it, and she said, oh, definitely, I usually do, she said definitely line it because it helps to smooth over like your lumps and bumps on your tummy and things, and I would absolutely agree. So I am going to line this one. So this is my I think it's about £5 a metre from Amazon, my lining, and obviously there's no ruffle to cut out on this, so I've got quite a bit of this left. So again, with what's left out of this, there's enough of this left that would make another swimsuit for next year, so you kind of get quite good value for money. And then I've just got one of the ruffle, which I'm going to pop to one side just now. And the other thing that I showed you earlier, and I don't know where I've put, there we go, is this piece here, which I'm going to use as the shelf bra. So for my pattern piece, it's just straight across on the bust and then down to the bottom. And then I think this is about 10 inches. Let me just see, yeah, I would say it's about 10 inches, I think. I've wrote it on my pattern, so if I stand up you might be able to see. This is going to go on the inside, but this is going to attach to the top, and the ruffle, obviously this is on the inside, the ruffle will be on the outside, but then this is just going to go under my bust. And I do find with the really good quality swimwear that I'm not needing to put elastic under here, but if you do, all you would do is attach your elastic sort of here, and then pin or tack the other piece onto here. You're going to want your elastic maybe about a good inch or so less than this is, because you're going to want to gather it in, and then just stretch out the elastic as you're sewing it and attach it onto the bottom, and then you would just turn it over to finish that off. I'll see if I need to do that. This is quite, it's got a good stretch and recovery, so what I found with the other ones is I've not needed to do that at all. So this is basically the front pattern piece on the fold, taken from there, and I've put a line on, which is where I would make the cut to do the shelf bra. I really hope that makes sense. Obviously if you're doing straps, it's just like anything. If you're making ruler loops, you know, you're gonna sew it together and pull it through and things like that. I won't be going into that today. So I really hope you hang around and let's see how I get on. I'm just going to do some of the basic stitching now, and then I'm going to come back and tell you what the next stages are. So I'm basically going to put together the front and the back, and then I'll come back to you. I just wanted to come back to you and talk about what I'm going to call my lining shelf bra sandwich sort of thing. So I should have said earlier, if you're putting this shelf bra in, you're going to sort of sandwich it between the lining. So I have done the outside of the swimsuit, so I've overlocked that, but I've not stitched it. I've just popped it that way around, and then I always have to work out. I mean, it doesn't matter if the shelf bra fabric is inside out, because nobody's going to see it but you. But if you're super kind of, you know, you want the finish to be right, you might want to spend a bit of time on this bit to make sure you get it the right way around. And also, I want to think about, there's going to be a seam on the inside of here, and there's going to be a seam on the inside of the lining, and I want to sandwich those together so there aren't any seams sort of on the side, that kind of thing, that they're all enclosed. So I've just been working through which way around am I going to put this, and honestly, if I get to the end and I've done it right, I'll give myself a little gold star. So I'm just clipping that into the side seams of the lining, so that it's in place. Now, this is totally unscripted and I'm just kind of chatting through. This is the general way my vlogs go, if you know me. I was just thinking, if you've not made it before and you're going to make something that is lined, then a good idea is, rather than cut straight into your swimsuit fabric, cut the lining first, and then you can try it on. Now, it is going to be baggy around the legs or around the top because you haven't got the elastic in, but it'll give you a general idea of the overall fit. Like, is the body long enough? Are the pants too long or too short? And if for example, you'd cut the briefs and they were shorter, you wanted them on a higher rise, you can always add a piece into the lining to extend that if you're going to run out. But that's much better than ending up with the outer fabric not long enough. I really hope that makes sense. There are a couple of times that I would definitely sort of say try on, and this is one of them. And the other one is when you're putting the elastic in. So I would always recommend, before you kind of overlock the elastic and stuff, tack it in place, check what the fit's like before you overlock and cover stitch it into place, because you'll thank me for that rather than doing something picking later. But I'll try and remember and mention that when we get to that stage. And what I've done is I've just dropped the lining inside the outer, and I've just gone round and sort of clipped it into place, just to get it sort of secure before I do the next steps. This is a good point if you do want to try on, to give it a little try, see how it feels. If it's the first time you've made it, you've still got time that you could take it back apart, maybe run in the waist. Do you need to take out the bust, like, you know, along the hips? Do you need to make any alterations? And obviously if you do, you would do those to the lining and the outer at the same time. So you obviously, if it's the first time you've made it, you can really work on getting the fit how you want it as well. So that basically, I mean, I've been chatting to you guys and I've been kind of answering some texts, and I think I've done about maybe 40 minutes and got it to this point. Now, if I wasn't putting the ruffle on and I was just going to turn this over and the legs, it's literally just to put the elastic in. But I am going to put the ruffle on, and I'm going to kind of attach that and get that ready, and I'm probably going to put that, on and then talk you through how I did that, and then I'm going to show you how to put the elastic into the legs, because a lot of the finishing that you would do on a swimsuit, say maybe round the straps, round the arms, across like here if it's a rounded one, like a lot of those things would be the same process as what you would do for the legs. It is just a little bit different with the ruffle in this case, but I'm going to get that positioned and then I'm going to come back to you and cover those steps. I hope this is kind of what you're wanting to hear. If it's not, then you've probably switched off by now. And I should say I am not going to model this at the end, but I will kind of lie it down and get a cute picture. So generally with a pattern, as you would with any normal pattern, generally that had elastic, it will give you the measurements for that somewhere within the pattern instructions. So this is the guideline for the Ellie and Mac one. There is a one for the Fibre Mood Luca, but as the top and the bottoms have been modified for that, those measurements don't stand. So I don't know why it's so big. Maybe it was on the original pattern piece. I can't remember. But you've literally got a grid. So I've got mine circled with my size and the elastic. So mine's 24 inches. So I've literally cut 2 for the legs and 2 for around the top of the bust and the back. So I've made those into a circle and I've just joined them together, just gone over it. You zigzag, or I just tend to go up and down like loads of times. So that's secure. So what I've already done is I've positioned one, so you're making sure that you catch the lining and the outer swim fabric, and I've just sandwiched, it might be hard to see, but I've just sandwiched, so you've got the elastic, you've got the lining, and then you've got the outer. Now at this stage I would recommend that you put like a basting stitch or a tacking stitch in. That's ideal because then, as I said earlier, you can try it on. Is the elastic tight enough for you? You can also sort of alter the position of it. Now if you think about the standard cut of a swimsuit, so you've got like the front where it's cut in like this, obviously, and the back where it's out like that. You want the front to be quite flat, but you want the I don't know the right way to describe it. You'd be laughing at me now. Like the bottom half of your bum to be snatched in by the elastic, so you've not got a saggy bum. I hope that makes sense. So the method that I've found that works for me, everybody will have loads of methods, you'll find your own, is that once I've made the elastic loop, I do half it and I go to the sort of where I've joined the crotch together and clip half there, and where I've got the side seam and I clip half there. That means that there's more to, let me get the words right. There's a shorter amount of elastic at the back and you can position that so it'll pull it in. I've found that works for me. That might be something that you play around with. You can zigzag this in place, you can overlock it in place. For me, I find just to tack it in place and get happy with the position of it, believe me, saves unpicking of overlocking later. And if you are going to overlock, I would say turn off your blade so you're not trimming through your elastic either. So I'm just going to go around this on my sewing machine. I'll be sewing it quite carefully, making sure that I was thinking, where's my elastic gone? That's the top of it. Just making sure that all those 3 layers stay together for the whole time. So I'm going to do that on both legs, and then I'm going to talk about how I've done the ruffle. But as I say, exactly what we're going to do with the legs and then what we're going to do to top stitch or cover stitch, it would be the same with many different, like, you know, bits of a swimming costume. So I've inserted the elastic into both legs and I've attached the ruffle onto the top. So the elastic is attached and sewn in. Just go around and make sure you've caught all the layers together, and then what you can see that I've done is I've just used fabric clips or pins to fold it under. Now if you want this to be neater and you're not going to cover stitch, you might want to overlock it round as I said earlier, to finish it off before you top stitch it. So if you're going to use a cover stitch machine, you would now just go round that, obviously sewn on the outside, and go right round in a circle. If you're top stitching it, you would want to either use twin needle or do probably 2 rows of stitching and continue to use your Mariflex to do that, and that is going to finish off your legs. For where the ruffle goes, just out of interest, if you're ever going to put one in, so this is the outside of the garment, this is the front. Sorry about the noise, but I've got all those fabric clips in place. So the ruffle is inside, so this is the outside, and I've attached all the layers together and I've just like basted it round. See there? So the ruffle is inside. So what I'm going to do next is position the elastic around here, and then this flips over, and when you do your top stitching or your cover stitch around here, you would do it on the outside, so the elastic gets sandwiched from the outside and your ruffle is here. So I've got one that I did like a few weeks ago, so just to show you how that is when it's finished. Obviously you've got your cover stitching or your twin stitching there and the ruffle on the outside. So if I tuck that back in, that was on the inside. You might be able to catch the edge of the elastic in places there, but this is going to be underneath and your ruffle is going to be on top of that. So that's what your finished swimsuit is gonna look like. Get it the right way around. That's the front with the shelf bra, and that's the back. So this is exactly the same as the design that I'm doing now. So I just wanted to share that with you. So for myself, my high bust was, I think I've just measured it, was 42.5. I just measured the size of the elastic unstretched on this and it was 37. So I've made this circle 37, but that's because I've gone a bit rogue and I've not got a pattern that matches this. So I've had to kind of do that and check that out for myself. So I will pop that elastic under, tack it in place, then I'll probably go try it on, just check the position of that. So I'll probably cover stitch the legs around so they're done, and then put this in before I cover stitch the top. The beauty of cover stitch is if you've got it, obviously you know chain stitch, if it's not right you just catch the chain and you unthread it and it pulls out dead easily, but it's always best to check. So I'm going to crack on and do that now, and then hopefully I'll be able to show you the finished swimsuit. All finished. The next time it comes out in daylight, it will be to go to a sun lounger somewhere with a nice cold drink in the sun. I mean, nothing like leaving it till last minute, but I get up in about 11 hours to go to the airport. So yeah, there we go. Obviously with the pattern it's hard to see, but you can see the ruffle there, that's front and back. We've got the shelf bra in there. I've not put the elastic in, it wasn't needed. Legs, and obviously you've got the white line in there, but none of that should be visible from the outside. Just to show you how that looks with the cover stitch on the inside, so you can see it's kind of fully caught that. If you top stitching it, you would probably, as I say, want to zigzag or overlock that edge just to neaten it up, but it shouldn't really be visible at all. But I do love the finish of this, but that was a little retirement treat to myself. And then just to show you kind of the same thing on the ruffle, so that elastic is sandwiched inside here, inside there, and then that is now over and cover stitched around, so you won't really see it on where the shelf bra is, but you've got that on there. And then inside you've got no raw seams there because they're sandwiched together on the outside. Does that make sense? I really hope that was helpful. My aim for this was just to give anybody who's wondering if they dare do it just the confidence to have a go, really. I hope I've put in a few little tips that I've learnt along the way that helped me, but like so, and everybody develops their own style and technique, so there might be other people's tips that help you just in the same way that they help me. But I really hope it's just giving you the confidence, even if it's to make something to sit in the garden. It doesn't have to be going abroad for a holiday, or just sitting outside, or to go in your hot tub or jacuzzi, whatever it is. I hope I've just given you a bit of confidence to go, thought, you know what, I could have a go at that. And actually, because you need so little fabric, you might even be able to pick up some remnants. This is from Pound Fabrics in the UK. I got to meet it elsewhere last year. That store's now closed, and I noticed it on Pound Fabrics, so I needed a bit more to do the ruffle on this. I've done swim costumes, I've done bikinis, I've done different things. I can't give you any tips on doing like a bra cut bikini because I've never made a bra, so I wouldn't even want to try and give you any tips on that. But I'm sure if that's your style, there will be a vlog on that somewhere. So just, you know, have a little search. It's a bit of a random thing to search for. But thank you for staying with me today. Really hope it's been helpful. Drop some comments in and I will get back to you as soon as possible. But, you know, maybe a little bit longer while I've got my little Waves and Wild bucket hat on and my bather and my little drink in my hand. I'm taking in holiday vibes. So I'll catch you really soon. Bye for now.